The following program does not necessarily reflect the opinions and viewpoints of the staff and management of the station.
Welcome to the wonderful world of seniors, the best of all worlds. You now have the time, resources, and ability to enjoy what you have worked for all your life. So let's explore the many possibilities available to seniors on Senior World Radio. Senior World Radio is your source for senior citizens-related topics, information, and entertainment. Now, here is your host of Senior World Radio, Glenn Howard.
Today we've got a cowboy right here in the studio with us. No, he don't have his horse, but he does have his hat and his boots and his guitar. Because I'm very honored today to have Jim Garling. Jim is a cowboy singer, retired RV salesman who picks and sings and has been a blessing to people all over the country. Jim, welcome to the show. So good to have you, man.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, I appreciate that. I heard you here a while back. You were down with old Charlie Meadows at Oak Pack picking and singing, and I said, man, that guy's good. So I've been wanting to get you on the show ever since.
I'm glad to be there that day.
How in the world did you ever get involved in picking and singing?
Well, I've been doing that like all my life, really, but I've really only started being out in the public with it in about 2002 after I retired out of the RV business.
Retired from the RV business. Yeah. Very interesting. What kind of, you're of course doing country and western. What's the difference in country and western? Do we always tie them together?
Well, listen, I'm not really doing country and western. I'm doing cowboy now.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, cowboy.
Tell me about it.
And the difference between a cowboy and a country and western is, you know, most country and westerns, you're either cheating on your wife or you've been drunk, you've been hanging out in the bar or something like that, and you don't want people to really know about it. But the old cowboy music, you know, it's all done out in the broad daylight, and it's about nature and the things that God's done, and I really like those kind of songs.
Give us a sample of it. Play a little bit for me.
Okay, here's an old cowboy song that's really a gospel tune people don't realize. An old cowpoke went riding out one dark and windy day. Up on a ridge he rested as he went upon his way. When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw coming across the ragged sky up a cloudy draw. Yippee-yi-oh. Cow, get in there, cow. Ghost riders in the sky.
Ah, yeah, I like it. Tell me, how in the world did yodeling ever become a part of cowboy music?
Well, it became a part of cowboy music because during the trail drives that happened back in the 1800s, those were wild cattle. And at nighttime, what the cowboy would do, he would spend his nights riding around those cattle, and they would sing to them. And in that singing, you know, after you sang the same song you had memorized about 3 times, you just start doing a little bit of anything just to let those old cows know that you're still out there. And so, therefore, that started really the yodeling, that type of a singing type thing in America.
So cowboy music really was self-entertainment for the cowboy, I guess.
Yeah, self-entertainment, and really it did kind of soothe the old cattle as they were out there in the dark in the nighttime type of thing.
What's one of the most requested songs you get?
Well, probably an old Gene Autry tune goes something like this. Well, I'm back in the saddle again, out where a friend is a friend, where the longhorn cattle feed on the lowly gypsum weed. Back in the saddle again, riding the range once more, toting my old 44, where we sleep out every night, and the only law's right. Back in the saddle again. Yeah, back in the saddle. I would say that's a pretty popular tune.
I think it is. Here a while back, driving down I-35, I remember seeing a highway sign that said Gene Autry was off the side, so we took time to cut out and drive over there and try to find it. Maybe it's over there. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. We drove around and looked every place, and went to a few dead ends and never did locate it. So
It's in the old school gymnasium building.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just stopped the festivals over there not too many years ago. But that was one of my first festivals I ever sang cowboy music back in 2002. That sounds like a long time ago, in Gene Autry, Oklahoma.
Jim, I know that a lot of your early music, of course, was in the church. You, while selling RVs, also was minister of music in a church, were you not?
Yes, in Norman, Oklahoma, I was a minister of the music at the Northeast Baptist Church there, and for about 16 years. And then when we got out of the RV business, we moved from Norman to Guthrie, and we got really involved here recently in cowboy churches.
Okay. Tell me more. What's a cowboy church?
Well, a cowboy church is it's where people can come. It's a very relaxed atmosphere. Come mostly agriculture, cattlemen, ranchers, city slickers. We don't care. They like, if you like to wear a cowboy hat, maybe some boots, come on out. And it's the same story. It's all about Jesus and Him crucified, and we just tell it a little different way. And most of the time, the messages come with a little bit slant toward a Western culture, an ornery old bull or a horse that you couldn't get right or something. And
Well, give me a gospel tune.
a gospel tune. Well, if I was in the cowboy church, I might do something like this. The devil is a rustler, many are his men, who ride the plains and valleys, damning souls with death and sin. If you're a Christian cowboy, saddle up God's word. Save a soul that's headed toward the devil's herd. Swing into the saddle, Christian cowboy. Start riding and start riding hard. Search the canyon of sin for the souls of men. Bring in the strays for the Lord. Bring in the strays for the Lord.
What about the old gospel hymns? Do you do many of those cowboy style, and do the people get involved in singing with you on those?
Well, yes, we do, and we normally just change the meter or something like that. And let's see if I can give you some example of, like we might do, would you be free from the burden of sin? There's power in the blood, oh, power in the blood. Would you for Jesus a victory win? There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb.
And I would imagine a lot of people tap their foot and start singing along with you on those songs.
Yeah, those old hymns. We do some of the new modern day choruses, but not very many. We stay with leaning on the everlasting arms, victory in Jesus, power in the blood, and things like that. And that's
Do a verse of that, leaning on the everlasting arms. I like the rhythm on that one.
what a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a fellowship, joy divine, leaning on the everlasting. Leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on the everlasting arms.
I personally have always been a real fan of Bill and Gloria Gaither. I think they put out more music. In fact, I told our pastor here a while back, I thought we ought to canonize Bill Gaither because of the music. But some of the modern stuff seems like they've kind of changed the whole style and rhythm. Are you finding that even the young people are enjoying your good old country style music?
Well, we do in our genre, of course, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with the new choruses and whatever. It's meeting a lot of needs for people, and I think they should continue to write them and go with them. It just depends on where you're at in your own personal worship style. Myself,
one of the things about country and music. Seems to me like there's a real emphasis on patriotic music. I mean, you take the old songs, God Bless America, to, everything in the world. I don't know, it seems like a lot of times that particular style is a very popular type thing. Do you get many requests for anything like that, or?
Well, we don't do a lot of patriotic songs in our church, and just off the top of my head, I don't know that I could just sing "God Bless America." I probably could, but we deal mostly with the old hymns and the things like that.
Now, much of what you're doing right now, going out and I understand you're doing a lot of work in some of the retirement centers, independent living centers, nursing homes, and so forth. Those people really would enjoy your music an awful lot, I would think, wouldn't they?
Well, I sure do find that. Metropolitan Library here in Oklahoma City has helped me get into a lot of places. They have libraries for their senior adults there, and then they have me go in, and it's really kind of neat. A lot of times I'll go in and faces are kind of dull. Let's use the word dull, and I start singing some of the old songs that was in their childhood and young days of their lives, and normally before it's over, I can have smiles and stories, people telling stories about the old songs, and if I had time, I could tell you all kinds of kind of really.
Give us an example of one.
Okay, I did this little song, "Ghost Riders in the Sky."
Right.
And the other day, I had a lady that was just clapping right along. Oh, she really was a good-looking little gal. And when I got done, I went over to talk to her, and she said that she had lived out where Stan Jones had lived when he wrote that song. Now, that would be back in the 30s, 38, 39, back in there. And she knew the guy, and she even said to me, now she was 96, and she said to me, I remember when Stan Jones called it a little ditty. He had wrote this little ditty, and he hoped somebody would record it. And I bet there's thousands of times people have written, and not written, but have sang and recorded Ghost Riders in the Sky. Neat story. She was 96 years old.
How about that?
Brought back good memories for her and made some for me.
Give us another example of something you're doing.
There are some newer songs that are still cowboy, and so here's a song that I put on one of my CDs, by the way, and it's called Western Skies, and it kind of goes a little like this. I'm telling you, when the day is through, well, I like to ride beneath that western sky. The prairie, green and white, I guess that's why I sit underneath that great big old western sky. Sometimes I'm lonely and sometimes I'm cold, but I'll keep on a-riding even when I'm old. Well, I'll ride through the day, ride my old cares away. I sit underneath that great big old western sky. I sit underneath that great big old western sky.
I like it. I'm Glenn Howard, Senior World Radio, visiting with Jim Garling, Cowboy singer. We got to take a break. We're coming right back, so please hang around. We got a bunch more songs to share with you.
You're nobody till somebody loves.
Have you ever had a problem, but it seemed like there was no one who could help? You spent hours calling around, being referred from one place to the next. Well, not anymore. I want to tell you about a free and easy-to-use service in Oklahoma. 211 is a simple 3-digit phone number to get help or to give help when you don't know where to turn. Dialing 211 only takes a minute, and you are connected with a caring Oklahoman who will help you find the assistance you've been looking for. With access to over 13,000 programs, Heartline 211 can connect you to local resources for many different needs, including health care, food, counseling, rent assistance, disability assistance, job services, and much more. 211 is a service of Heartline, a United Way partner agency. 211, the right first call to get help or give help 24 hours a day.
Hi, my name's Jason Ledlow, president of UT Phone, the ultimate telephone service. We're proud to be a sponsor of Senior World Radio with Glenn Howard. UT Phone is dedicated to providing Oklahomans affordable telephone service all across our great state. We have Lifeline home phone service starting at just $1.95. That's right, just $1.95, and most of Oklahoma's seniors qualify for this reduced home phone service. They get to keep their old home phone number, and it even includes long distance. Another great feature of UT Phone's customers really like is that it includes repair service. That's right, any repairs at no additional charge. With many telephone services charging $40 to $50 per month, it makes sense to switch your service to UT Phone. This service is a federal program that is provided through the Universal Service Fund. There is only one per household, so make it UT Phone's home phone service for $1.95. Give us a call at 800-996-0098. Again, call 800-996-0098.
I've made up my mind.
Welcome back to Senior World Radio. I'm Glenn Howard. Today we've got Jim Garling, cowboy singer, right here in the studio. No, he left his horse outside, but got his boots and his cowboy hat. We've been singing a bunch of old songs and having a lot of fun with the music. Jim, I remember, though, you know, I'm one of those seniors that's been around for a few years, and when I was a kid living out in McLean, Texas, out in the Panhandle, we would make a trip into Amarillo every few months to do some shopping and kind of see what the big city looked like. And I remember a Firestone store that had one of the Western bands in there. I think it's about 4 or 5 instruments and singing country and Western music. And, you know, I would have been delighted to have Mom and Dad drop me in front of that old Firestone store to listen to that music while they went shopping for the rest of the day. But there were so many of those songs. One of them I remember, Drifting Along with the Tumbling Tumbleweed. You know that one?
I sure do. And boy, if you lived in McLean, Texas, you've seen a few of these pop-ups.
Absolutely.
See them tumbling down, pledging their love to the ground. Lonely but free I'll be found, drifting along with the tumble and tumbleweed. I'm a roving cowboy, riding all day long. Tumbleweeds around me sing their lonely song. Nights underneath the prairie moon, well, I ride along and sing a tune. See them tumbling down, pledging their love to the ground. Slowly but free I'll be found, drifting along with the tumble and tumbleweed. Drifting along with the tumble and tumbleweed. Drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed.
That brings back a lot of memories. Jim, if anybody wanted to get you to come out to their church or their community center, or maybe they had a birthday party or some kind of event going on, how in the world would they get in touch with you?
Well, you know, for my clients, most of them don't do internet, but I'll still tell you, you can go to cowboyjimgarling.com, and you can find my website there.
Cowboy Jim Garling. That Garling is spelled Garling.
Absolutely.
Too bad they didn't start that with the D and call you Darling.
I don't think my wife would like that for everybody darlinging me, but anyway.
JimGarling.com,
Yeah.
or Cowboy
Cowboy Jim.
You got to have the
Garling.
cowboy on the front of
I got to
it.
add that cowboy.
CowboyJimGarling.com.
That'll find me.
Okay.
Or I'm in the local, phone book in Guthrie, Oklahoma, and you can go to the phone, just a regular old phone book, and find Jim Garling out of Guthrie, Oklahoma. And I just love to hear from anybody. I like doing churches
Okay.
and
Jim, I know that the whole western half of the United States is cow country, actually from Arkansas to California, and yet it seems like that most of the songs somehow evolve around Texas. What is there about Texas that just sounds more cowboy? I guess there is a few Oklahoma songs.
Yeah.
I'm a Noki from Muskogee,
type thing, yeah.
something, but it seems like Texas becomes kind of the theme around which an awful lot of songs are written. Why is that?
Well, I can tell you my opinion, and that is, after the Civil War in 1867, they all rode horses at that time, and buggies. But when they started those cattle drives from Texas to Kansas up through Indian Territory, Oklahoma, that's when people back east really got interested in what was going on. And they would send people back to write stories for their newspapers, etc. And for 25 years, people came back, and that cattle drive was the instigator of a lot of stories. And then when we got into radio and television, most all of the movies back then were, many of them Western, a big percentage. Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, Tex Ritter, all of those guys. And so they all came basically from that area of Texas, and they made their movies back there, and I think that's what it's still today.
Sing something about Texas. You got a Texas Plain song of some type or the other?
I sure do. Let me tell you a little bit about this before I sing it. There was a guy named Stuart Hamblin who wrote this song. And Stuart wrote songs like This Old House.
I remember that
It
one.
Is No Secret What God Can Do. When he was a young man, his life was not very good. And actually, he met Billy Graham one night when he was drunk as he could be, and Billy was a smart man. Mr. Graham said, "You come back when you're sober," and Mr. Hamlin did come back, and he got saved. During that time, he was working with a young lady by the name of Patsy Montana, and Patsy Montana was a yodeler, and she was one of the first cowgirl yodelers, and she wrote the song "I Want to Be a Cowboy Sweetheart." And old Stuart wrote a little tune, and song had a melody pretty close, and it goes something like this. I want to drink my Java from an old tin can while the moon goes riding high. I want to hear the sound of a whippoorwill. I want to hear that coyote cry. I want to feel my saddle horse between my knees while riding him out on the range. Just kick him in the side, make him show his step and pride out on a Texas plain. Yodelody, idle-lady, yodelody-o, idle-lady, yodelady-o, yodelody, yodelady-o, 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 yodelady-o.
Love it, love it. You're talking about the cattle drives. Very seriously, my father, when he was a young teenage boy, lived up in a little town in Oklahoma called Tonkawa. Yeah. And he actually participated in some cattle drives. They drove cattle from the Tonkawa area into Tulsa, into market in his early days. And I remember him talking about the drives. Of course, we came from country area. In fact, my dad was born out in the great metropolis of Slapout, Oklahoma.
Been there.
Way out there in the northwest part in the dugout, and sat around and listened to Dad tell stories about the old cowboys, about the days. We kids, of course, Dad we thought was the greatest storyteller that ever came along. And it just made life so very interesting. You mentioned something, though, about a couple of gospel songs. This Old House, of course, which is a real favorite. But I think one of my favorites is that song, It Is No Secret What God Can Do.
Yes,
what
that's
He's
a great
done
song.
for others, He'll do for you. Can you do a few bars of that?
You know, I don't have that memorized.
Okay.
I wished I did. Wished I could sing that for you, but I really can't.
Well, do us another gospel song.
Some other
sometime.
gospel
There
song.
you go.
Okay. I would like to do. This is off of my Cowboy Gospel CD, and it was written by Gene Autry, and it goes like this. On the trail, when the storm is in the sky, I never worry, 'cause I know God's in the saddle, right there by my side. On the trail, when the mountaintops are high, no cares will hurt me, 'cause I know God came along on the trail to be my guide. With him by my side is a lifelong partner, I'll keep jogging along, wearing a smile while the sun is shining, filling the night with a song. On the trail when the storm is in the sky, I never worry, 'cause I know God's in the saddle, right there by my side. Yes, I know God's in the saddle, right there by my side.
You mentioned a while ago something about your CD. I presume you do have some CDs available. Tell me a little bit about what you got.
Well, I have 4 CDs, and again, they're cowboy music. 3 of them, I have a little group that has fiddle and bass and harmony songs like the Sons of the Pioneers and some of those would have. And then I have a cowboy gospel I just put out. I spent about 4 years researching some of those songs, and I took them off old Gene Autry and Roy Rogers. You know, years ago in their movies, they always did some kind of a little gospel song, and they were all really moral, good, upright, moral movies. And so I found a bunch of old songs in those movies and put them on this cowboy gospel.
And those are all available on cowboyjimgarling.com.
Absolutely.
Jim, we've only got about a minute left. Take us out today singing some kind of a good old country song for us.
I'd like to sing another one off my album.
Okay.
And I think everybody recognizes this. I kind of changed it. Cowboy goes like this. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let her shine. This little light of mine, well, I'm gonna let her shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let her shine, let her shine, let her shine all the time. Hide it under a cactus, no, I'm gonna let her shine. Hide it under a cactus, no, I'm gonna let her shine. Hide it under a cactus, no, I'm gonna let her shine. Let her shine, let her shine all the time. All around the prairie, boys, I'm gonna let her shine. All around the prairie, boys, well, I'm gonna let her shine. All around the prairie, boys, I'm gonna let her shine, let her shine.